This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. On time, every time. Welcome to my neighborhood. It's Thursday, November 21st, 2024. It's live, it's local, it's informative, it's exciting. Give me a call at 607-772-1290. WNBF. As we take to the air on this 21st day of November, it is my pleasure to report that spring will begin in 4 months. So something to look forward to for those who love the beauty of spring, springtime. And the countdown is now underway. As we look forward to the arrival of spring, it'll be here before you know it. So you heard it here first at WNBF and WNBF.com. Remember, we are on the air for Traditionalist at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. We're online for the tech-savvy folk, WNBF.com, and even better, on your phone using the free WNBF app. So however you choose to listen and wherever you listen, we are so glad that you're part of the Binghamton Now family. Everybody is welcome. Calls are gleefully accepted. Again, in case you missed that number at the outset, 607-772-1290. So go ahead, make that call. You can also email the program. Many people do. WNBF.com. WNBF. Yes, indeed. Go for it. Go for it. Let's see. Hold on a second here. I'm going to respond. This is a business email. This is a business email. This is not just any email. I can respond to any old emails after the program, but I must respond to that urgent business email for urgent WNBF Binghamton Now business. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's see. Alan writes. Alan from Binghamton writes about a very interesting show on Netflix, how companies promote, sell, and dispose of overproduction of stuff and then finally dump the toxic materials and plastics. I wonder why it gets some publicity but not enough. Corporate and political profits and greed. Sure. That's the truth. But now someone has publicized fluoride, a chemical that's been used since the 50s to help reduce cavities and help strengthen bones with little negative health effects, and it's become the pariah of 2024 due to one politician that even his family is ashamed of. These high volumes of waste have three places to go: the air, ground, or the water. At some point, it will affect a majority of us. Alan from Binghamton. Thank you, Alan. As far as what companies do, and I guess that documentary is called Buy Now, B-U-Y, Now. And yeah, it's the way businesses operate, big businesses, the way they operate. It is, to be sure, shameful, but most Americans don't care. I hate to say that most Americans don't care. The truth is most Americans would just rather forget about it. They'd rather order their stuff, their cheap Chinese stuff. Again, it's about the price. It's not about the quality. You give me something for under $1, and I'll take two. Thank you. It's 9:15. Let's take a call on the hotlines. Hi, WNBF. Are you ready to talk?
Well, hi, Bob. Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay, well, take a deep breath. using our state-of-the-art technology, voice recognition. Our system says this is John from Binghamton. Welcome back.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Bob, and I'd like to thank you personally for all you do for the community.
And you'd also like to thank the Academy and certainly all the little people.
Hey, this upcoming national emergency, I don't have a problem with it, but here's what's going to happen. This is going to trickle down to the yokel level, and there's going to be tremendous abuses by local tyrants and bureaucrats, running the gamut, as we saw in COVID, right?
Well, everybody, and whether it's businesses or governments, individuals, nonprofits, everybody is looking for the next big thing, as in the next big opportunity to grab some free money.
Well, that's for sure, but we know this, Bob, and I suggested this to the IDA that they start going over, and since so much of this activity here is nonprofit and grant-related, transfer payment-related, that if they don't have a contingency plan at your local school district or at your local government, they are not being efficient, Bob. We know what's coming, and I would suggest, for example, if I was head of a nonprofit, I'd take all the grant applications in the last few years that were filed, and I put them in three piles. One, the far-fetched. Two, I can't believe we got the grant. And three, maybe this is doable in the future even if the political climate changes. But this is what's going to happen, Bob. All these grants, people coming in here from Montreal and Miami to paint murals, for tens of thousands of dollars. It's all over with, and I can't believe that Broome, for example, I can't believe that Broome County wants to go into the golf course business more than they're in and get a free asset. One may remember, speaking of the county wanting things for free, you may remember that county executive Jeff Cram, not Jared Cram, offered to buy the sewage treatment plant for $1. You remember that one?
Well, vaguely. I don't.
Yeah.
When was that? About when was that? You have a recollection of when that was?
That was when the trouble with the European system was fully exposed. It was in the Bucci administration, so it was during his tenure as county executive. So
good times.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I am wary of the civil rights aspects of this. And, I took the IDA on something on their website. They say they're DEI, DEI all the way. And people can watch the video at their website. And I asked them where the DEI was, where the diversity was in their own operation. I got 4 or 5 team members, all women of a certain age, and the board has one woman who has been politically connected for about 30 years, and the rest are white males. So why would somebody put on their website and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion when there is none on their own board and in their own workforce?
Well, maybe they'll delete it. There was a time, and I can't recall if that was in 2020. I think it was around 2020, about 4 years ago, when that was it was all the rage, and now it's not such a rage. Well, it maybe that section will be shelved.
Well, I liken it to the hula hoop. There was a time in physical fitness when the classes, jumping jacks and sit-ups and push-ups, and then all of a sudden the hula hoop came out, and every gym teacher used the
every fad has its day, and fads come and go, and some people will take offense by my putting this particular thing into the category of a fad, but it really kind of was. Sorry to say, it kind of was. I'm not saying it was unimportant. I'm not minimizing those who have supported the concept. I'm just saying for a while it was all the rage, and now whether you look at business or government or even nonprofits, it's not what it once was. They've moved on. They've moved on to something else.
Well,
but that always happens, and no matter what it is, even the Pat Rock or even Rubik's Cube, popular, to be sure, all the rage. What about those dopey little dolls that they had in the 80s? I mean, everybody wanted one, and then suddenly nobody cares.
Well, what about rock and roll? It's not here to stay any longer.
Well, you listen to some of the bumper music on this program. We demonstrate that on a daily basis.
Let me, on classic rock, or whatever they call it. Is that what they call it?
I guess they do.
Yeah. And what's funny is the way that it's programmed nationally is, it's like 15 songs. It's never. I mean, you never hear any King Crimson on classic rock. The thing is, and I can't talk about this on the air, but between you and me, the thing about commercial radio is, regardless of format, it could be classic rock, or it could be what you and I used to call top 40, whatever the current description of the traditional top 40 format, or modern country, whatever, even hip hop on commercial radio. The truth is, every song that you hear has been tested, and the songs that are added in the relatively small music library for commercial stations, they tested well. So a lot of songs that you might remember, John, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now, some of those songs aren't going to make it to commercial radio, mainly because they didn't test well. Well, that is very true, and when I get goosebumps every time I hear The Flame. So that's definitely.
We've got so much that we could discuss. One of these days, I don't know. You know what we might do? Let me just check the schedule, because this could actually be a crowd pleaser compared to the way the program is most days. Why don't we pencil in? Do you think you're going to be available next Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, that's a big ratings. Yeah.
I'm not talking about ratings. I'm talking about doing. We used to occasionally do Music Fridays that were crowd pleasers. I'm thinking of designating next Wednesday a music day. So, I mean, obviously, and our regular listeners are very much aware, you have a lot of music knowledge, and a lot of our listeners do too. So what I'm saying now is next Wednesday, in theory, is going to be devoted to music. Not only, I mean, if people want to talk about what they usually talk about, they still can, but I would emphasize music for next Wednesday. Just, put that on your, use a refrigerator magnet and say, Wednesday, November 27th, be prepared to call in and talk about maybe Frank Mills, Music Box Dancer. You could talk about that for about 3 hours, why that ever got on the radio.
If you're available, I'm available, Bob. And I just all my point was on the classic rock is that it's going to go the way of music of your life. As the music of your life, they kept infusing it with newer and newer music.
Well, everything ages out. The thing is, and again, I can't talk about it on the air because it's so sensitive, but just between you and me, what advertisers really want are 18 to 34, tends to be, or 18 to 49, target demographic, and not men, 18 to 49-year-old women, because they're the ones, for the most part, who make most of the buying decisions in a family.
You mean they're not looking for a 70-plus male that's looking to buy a new set of toenail clippers?
Well, how many can you actually buy per month? No, I mean, it's not to say, and again, it's not to say that the people who listen to this fine show also don't make purchases. I mean, they do. They make some big purchases, including big cars and things like that. But again, about just advertising in general, as people who watch the that cable show about the advertising agency back in the day, back in the 60s, look, imagine, if you will, and one time they actually did this, and I'm trying to recall. They brought us into a meeting. Imagine, if you will, that your average listener is a woman who's 38 years old who has 2.8 kids and lives in Vestal. It's like,
wow, I'm getting hot now.
It's like I'm looking at everybody else in the room and saying, I know my audience, and I know there are some listeners, some 38-year-old women who live in Vestal, but probably none of them have 2.8 children. They might have 2 children or maybe 3. I know of no woman of any age in Vestal or anywhere else who has only 2.8 children. And it's like, but it is, I mean, we're having fun with it, but it's advertising, of course, is a big business. And we are powered, unlike some stations that are powered by sponsors and listeners and government grants. We're only powered by the money that is provided by our grateful sponsors. And we are so appreciative that they, without their participation, shows like this would not be possible. I mean, wouldn't it be great, John, if I could hold a pledge drive every 3 months and hold this program hostage? Say we'll start taking phone calls after we've reached our goal this hour of $1,290, but until we've only got $1,288. Nope, can't take any calls yet. So again, and it would have, if I could call up Kathy Hochul or President-elect Donald John Trump and say, we're doing a great job for our community and for the nation. Could we have some money? Like, no, why don't you just rely, as you always have for nearly a century, on the support of your loyal sponsors, and which is fine. We do, but it's sometimes I had a dream sequence once where I was doing a pledge drive on NBF, and then I woke all of a sudden. It's like, no, that's not happening. You can't do pledge drives.
Well, as long as you're in a tuxedo when you do the pledge drive.
I could make a formal request. Thanks, John.
Yep. 928
WNBF. Yes, we are happy. We're happy. There's Thanksgiving coming up in 1 week. So, and by the way, as I mentioned to John, let's just tentatively pencil in next Wednesday as sort of a music day. It doesn't mean if you have something political or something going on in your neighborhood or just concerns about cartoons on TV, doesn't mean you can't talk about it next Wednesday. It means we will encourage conversations about the music. Because I've been told some people actually like talking about the music. We could talk about local music. Are there local singers, local songwriters, any local musicians, duos, trios, quartets, bands that you like to go out and listen to? It's one thing I know about WNBF listeners. Even though many of our listeners are no longer teenagers, they still go out a lot to hear music. So we could talk about that next week, Wednesday. WNBF. Circle that in your radio guide. 607-772-1290. That is our number. And you are listening to Bob Joseph with Binghamton Now. WNBF, your radio station. It's 9:32. We now return to the broadcast portion of the show. DJ in Binghamton, good morning. You're on the air.
The wonderful broadcast portion. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got some good news for everyone. Yesterday, Somebody may have already done it. Not to make this a real long thing, but so I'm at the store and this guy's telling, "Oh, look at my car. Beautiful, beautiful car. Man, that looks nice." He said, "I just got it washed for free at the Splash Car Wash. They're doing it Wednesday through Sunday. It's a promotion. You get a free car wash."
Yeah, we're not doing promotions for businesses. You know, if somebody wants to give free car washes, okay. We're not doing plugs for businesses giving away free stuff.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we just don't.
Okay, so I won't mention any names.
No, well, let's move on to a new topic, because talking about car washes, I mean, I can't tell you how many news stories I did about that car wash. I'm sure I did 3 or 4, maybe more, about the car wash. So it's been sufficiently covered. What else is on your mind?
Okay, you got me on mute, so I want to tell you what's on my mind. I got blessed yesterday, and I want to tell you. Evidently, nothing about that. We're on a whole new subject now. Evidently, with my vehicle, it's a good vehicle. And so when you go to change a bulb, unlike cars I've had in the past, the Chevy Chevette, 84 Chevy Chevette, you don't just pull off the plastic and take out the bulb. You got to take out the whole piece. And my piece was dangling on the side of my vehicle. And someone said, "Look, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Whoa, it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. Long story short, I went to a business over, you'll like this, across from the lovely McDonald's. And the guy came out. Evidently, the last mechanic to ever change my bulb didn't put the 2 screws in, because you can push it in and it will clip in, but that's not going to hold it. So yesterday, my whole piece, and it's hard to describe, the whole thing, the left tail light, the whole piece was dangling. And I would have got stopped. And so the good news is this nice mechanic came out, put in 2 screws, tightened it, no money. I got the free everything, car wash, hot dogs, ice cream. There's a lot of stuff that they're doing Wednesday through Sunday. So another business. So that's just what I wanted to say. And
all right. Well, again, we commend local businesses for super serving.
Wonderful, Bobby. Super
serving. Kind of like what WNBF News does. We super serve the people of Binghamton.
And then
NBF.
Yeah. And then when you're done, you can go over to McDonald's. Do they have the pounders yet? Did they introduce?
No, they're working their way up. They have quarter pounders, and now in certain locations they're going to have third pounders. You know, because they're going to do market testing. They're going to test third pounders and half pounders, and eventually, by January 20th, they're going to celebrate all that's good in America by selling pounders.
I have lost 20 pounds, and I will gladly say I wouldn't touch that mess with a 50.
Oh, okay. If you're going to be critical of something as good and as all-American as our burgers, sadly, we can't go there. We support American burgers.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I support the right of all Americans. If they want to buy an eighth of a pounder, no, that doesn't roll off the tongue. Eighth pounders, quarter pounders, third pounders, half pounders, or coming January 20th, the pounder.
I never, Bob.
The pounder. That sounds illegal.
Doctor says,
it sounds illegal. It sounds like a felony.
I never want to see the day, Bob, when your doctor says, "Bobby, you got the diabetes." Some people call it diabetes.
You know, it's too late now, man. Too late, man. That ship has sailed. If I wanted to adopt a healthy lifestyle, I should have thought about that last year. It's too late, man.
You better lose that 20 pounds, Bobby.
Hey, it's not going to be done. Not going to be done unless Oprah is my personal coach. All right. Thank you for your call. Well, Oprah's not even part. She was part of the, what was that, the weight loss team, WLT, and then she quit. I think, well, I don't know. Maybe she's still part weight loss team. It's a company, and what they did is they would find ways, if you paid them money, they would find ways for you to lose 100 pounds. But if Oprah came here and gave me some tips about how to lose weight, then I might. But even then, it would be an uphill battle. An uphill battle. And again, I don't encourage people. I mean, you make your own choices, your own nutrition decisions, your own lifestyle decisions. Consult with experts, consult with clergy, consult with nutritionists, consult with astrologers, whoever will take your money. Go ahead. You can find more than a few people who will gladly take your money and give you some advice. 607-772-1290. Bob Joseph on your side with Binghamton Now, WNBF. And the fun and frolic continues here on a Thursday morning. Just a week till we can have tryptophan overdoses. The emergency departments are preparing for people who will overindulge at turkey fillet. Or is it Turk fillet? I don't know. Well, I'm sure they'll be open with turkey sandwiches. And all the accessories. Let's take a look at the weather forecast. This one actually looks interesting. The last 8 weeks, the people at the weather, not the Weather Bureau, but the people who do weather on TV have been inconsolable. It's like, ooh, we have nothing really to talk about. All we can do is tell you, oh, the weather, it's so dry. It hasn't been this dry in 63 years or 80, whatever. Now they at least have something. And it's this is one of the ultimate weather days. I have designated today and tomorrow as ultimate weather days, UWDs. So if you want to know why there's a little extra spring in my step, it's because Thursday and Friday are ultimate weather days. What that means is, ultimately, you're going to listen more intently to our forecast. All right, so today and tomorrow, ultimate weather days. The ultimate weather day. A winter storm warning starts at 4 p.m. on this ultimate weather day and will continue until 4 p.m. tomorrow, another ultimate weather day. Winter storm warnings. This is not a test, nor is it a drill. Snow heavy at times under localized bands. Gee, I hope it's the Tigers marching band. Again, snow heavy at times under localized bands. Totals will be highly elevation dependent as well. A few inches or less in valley locations with amounts to, 5 to 12 inches. Above 1,500 feet, totals of... I'm reading this for the first time, sorry. Pardon my laughter. Totals of 12 to 18 inches possible in the highest elevations in western Wayne, eastern Lackawanna, Delaware, and eastern Susquehanna counties. You know, I should start reading this stuff ahead of time so I wouldn't collapse under 2 feet of laughter, but I didn't see that any... I didn't know. Some places might get 12 to 18 inches. Well, travel could be very difficult, especially with snowfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour in spots overnight. The hazardous conditions could impact the commute tomorrow morning. Heavy snowfall could bring down trees and wires due to the weight of the snow. If you must travel, keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. All right, well, there you go. Can't say you weren't warned. People are saying, but will there be enough milk? Will there be enough bread? I don't know. My advice to you is if you're concerned about having enough milk and bread over the next 48 to 96 hours, go out to the milk and bread store. Now. Don't waste any time. You know, there's only a limited amount of milk and bread to go around, so. As well as eggnog. By the way, if you happen to live in Tioga County, say, if you live in Campville or Appalachian, you don't have to worry as much because the winter storm warning is not in effect there. In Tioga County, it's a winter storm watch. So if you live in Campville, just over the border from the town of Union, then you have a winter storm watch. If you step into Broome County, then you have a winter storm warning. So let's see. Here is the official forecast today. Rain, mainly afternoon. High 39. And precipitation amounts today, a quarter to half an inch. That's today. Then tonight is when it gets interesting. Rain and snow becoming all snow after 8 p.m. The snow could be heavy at times, low 32. New snow accumulation tonight, about 3 inches. In Broome County, in Tioga County, it would not be quite as much, I guess, evidently. So, well, I don't know, 3 inches in Broome and Tioga County. Then tomorrow, more snow, then some rain and snow tomorrow. So, how much snow you get, I guess it depends where you live. If you live in Florida, no snow. If you live in Vestal, you'll probably get a few inches. Right now in downtown Binghamton, it's 37. That's 3 Celsius here at News Radio WNBF. Again, this is an ultimate weather day. It is designated by the Weather Czar. Weather Czar has declared today an ultimate weather day. I will caution you, however, despite this winter storm warning, the weather machine is not broken. We checked with the people who run the weather machines, and they say everything is fine. It's 9:47 WNBF. If you, at the first sign of snow, give me a call or send an email. You can call me at 607-772-1290 or email me, bob@WNBF.com. As always, feel free to send your pictures. If you have any pictures of snow, just send them to me, bob@WNBF.com, and maybe I'll post some on the website. Again, all snow photos, send them to bob@WNBF.com, and keep me posted. It's 9:48, live and local, WNBF. Really? What? Bob, you're not being beamed in via satellites? No, we're not going to use satellites. Just doing the radio business the original way, the way Marconi said to do it. You do it live, you do it local. We came up with live before Billo made it popular. Here's something. You can get more details on our website, WNBF.com. So there's a technology, and it's been around for a while, but nobody in Broome County seems to have tried this technology up until now. The technology involves triangulation, which as soon as I heard about triangulation, I said, oh my gosh, get out my calculator. It uses technology to detect gunshots, and it is now being tested in Endicott. The police department has started to review the Shot Spotter. I like that name. Whoever came up with the name deserves a medal. Shot Spotter. And it's been around. I think the company, or at least the initial Shot Spotter marketing began in 1996. And now, according to the company's website, they have it being used in more than 160 communities. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's the claim. I haven't seen a complete list of the communities that use Shot Spotter. But the Endicott Police Chief, Patrick Gary, told me that the village sought some state funding to deploy more technology to support law enforcement efforts. And you may remember earlier this year, it was announced that the state had approved $770,000 for Endicott for law enforcement technology. That was approved by the State Division of Criminal Justice Services. The police chief, Patrick Gary, told WNBF News Endicott police recently began testing the shot spotter detection system, learning how it can work in the village. Of course, if you follow the news around here, you know that there are reports about possible shots fired and things like that around the Triple Cities. These reports are more common than they used to be, but it's not as though they're happening daily. So the testing is underway. I know I've discussed this in the past with some other law enforcement people and even some mayors around here about, have you ever considered testing out the shot spotter technology? Well, now Endicott is. It's still very early at this point to see if this is going to be effective or useful for Endicott. Every community is different. If you look around here, like say Vestal, for example, town of Vestal has more problems with larcenies than it does with people shooting guns, at least up to this point. Whereas Binghamton, bigger population. It's a city. Binghamton's a city with tens of thousands of fine people. But yes, not only will you have larcenies, but sometimes you'll have people with guns, believe it or not. And sometimes even the people who don't even know what they're doing with their guns apparently try to test them out to see if they're capable of firing shots. What happens quite often, especially in Binghamton, well, around here, if the police get a call about shots fired, of course, they have to promptly respond to the area and try to find out whether anything happens. Sometimes turns out that the report was erroneous. It turns out what people thought might have been gunshots could have been fireworks. Sometimes people think they hear fireworks and it turns out to be gunshots, but every case needs to be investigated. Now, the company that markets shot spotter systems, they use some kind of a network of acoustic sensors, and then they detect and locate gunshots using triangulation. And then the theory is, I guess they have like a command center, and this information then is analyzed at the command center, I guess in real time. And if using this technology, if the shot spotter technology discerns that it probably is actual gunshots as opposed to noise from a car backfiring or noise from fireworks, then police can be quickly dispatched. According to the company, only a small percentage of gunshot incidents are actually reported. It says its sensors can alert police to nearly all such incidents. I know one time, this was years ago, one time I woke up and I know I heard gunshots. I know what gunshots sound like. I look out the window just to see if there's anybody outside with a gun. And I think it was 3:30 in the morning, so there shouldn't have been anybody out there anyway. So I looked outside, and there's nobody around. Absolutely no sign of any activity. There are no people walking around, nobody hanging out, nobody even driving around. So I know I heard gunshots. I know I wasn't dreaming. It was the real deal. And I'm thinking, well, should I bother the police? I mean, at 3:30 in the morning, the police have too much going on already. They don't need somebody like me to call in to say, I just heard some gunshots, but I can't for the life of me pinpoint where they came from. And better yet, there's no sign of any activity at all. So why don't you send a few units around just looking to see if you can find any troublemakers? So my theory was that if there were troublemakers, they had already left the area. So I admit I didn't report it. I thought, well, if it turned out to be something, I'll find out when I get to work in the morning. And I know the police are really busy. They don't need to hear my calls about. I heard 4 shots in rapid succession. Well, was it? Are you sure it was 4? You sure it wasn't 3 or 6? No, it was 4. Are you sure they were gunshots? Yes. So, yeah. So I guess ShotSpotter can work for those cases where people just never get around to reporting. So we'll see how that works. If it works in Binghamton, maybe they'll get ShotSpotter everywhere. Maybe they could set up a ShotSpotter thing around here at the station. So if there are any gunshots, if anything goes haywire, they'll be like, oh, more gunfire around the station there. Why don't, it's just Bob Target practicing, but why don't you tell them it's illegal to be firing off guns inside a radio studio or something like that. So we'll see if that works in Endicott. Hey, if it works, one of the downsides of the ShotSpotter technology, though, is it's not cheap. You would think that the company that makes ShotSpotter, if they cared about America, would provide it to communities at no charge to make our community safer, but it turns out they charge a substantial amount of money. So they're making money off our desire to reduce violence. So it's interesting how in America, a company based in California can charge communities, like say in New York State, thousands of dollars for ShotSpotter technology. You would think if they cared about Americans and wanted us to be safe from gunshots, that they would provide those systems at no charge. So if somebody fires off gunshots outside my house, I don't even have to worry about reporting it. It's already reported. They could even put an AI system in place, and they don't even have to send cops. Just, file the report and tally it up at the end of the year. It's 10 o'clock. This is Bob Joseph. You're listening to WNBF Binghamton and
No to 50.
Yeah, no to 50.
Lord.
No to 50. You remember in 2020 we had about 40?
Well,
that's okay. It was 45 in Newark Valley.
Was it? It was late 20. So we were used to.
But it wasn't even winter yet. So it was still.
My first summer or my first fall here. I remember this. It was the second week of October, 2004. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm from the DC area, and it snows in February.
Right.
But so I was on the 6th floor, College in the Woods, heading to the elevator, and there was snow happening, and I was like, what?
Really?
What is this?
Yeah.
I didn't have a coat. I didn't have a. I was like, it's
any
October,
mittens,
right?
Yeah. No mittens, no scarves.
Nothing. I was so unprepared at 18.
We're joined by Rebecca Rathmel, councilperson-elect. Congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you.
It's can't believe it's been 16 days since the election. Seems like a lot longer than that. Just a little over 2 weeks. But you won in a rematch against Phil Strawn in the 6th district. So it was a special election. Last year's ended in a tie, and this year there was a clear winner. So congratulations to you. I also congratulate Phil Strawn.
Yeah.
I was glad that prior to the election, we were able to chat with him here in the studio. So it was good, and I certainly appreciate the service that he has given to the city during his years on council. So.
And he reached out the next day as well to say congratulations. So I appreciate that. And in many ways, it has just been 2 weeks, but it also, for me, feels like a long time coming. I was ready a year ago, so I am just looking forward to getting started.
And you will be sworn in as the 6th District representative, I believe, on Friday, January 3rd.
Yes, that evening, I believe it's 6. And then the next week, we'll start with work sessions and business meetings. It'll be official.
So we're going to talk about some important city topics in a moment, but since I was waxing poetic about the snow that's on its way to the Binghamton area, you actually, just in the last hour, witnessed real actual snow just east of Binghamton. Tell me what the situation was before you got to our studio.
Out in Windsor, I would call it a dusting, but on cars and roofs and the grass, there was a dusting of snow. I dropped my daughter off at CR Weeks this morning, and we saw it with our own eyes.
So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to see it here in downtown Binghamton soon enough. Can't get around it. We've actually been really fortunate in terms of, and as you have suggested, the fact that snow in the Binghamton area, even in October, does happen occasionally. And sometimes some really, really heavy snow. I remember a few Halloweens or even before Halloween where we were getting blasted with sometimes 4 or 5 inches or more of that really heavy snow. And then, of course, it comes down like that, and the leaves are still on the trees, so trees and branches are coming down, and that usually means power outages. So anyway, fortunately, I don't think it's going to be too bad.
I'll be joining the many other moms, I imagine, who are headed out to get snow boots and gloves for kids because we waited until today.
Yeah, and remember, while you're out getting the appropriate winter clothing for the kids, always stock up on, what do they say, milk and bread, or bread and milk, because you can never have enough. I mean, there could be a shortage. So make sure also you have, what else should you stock up on? Milk, bread. Oh, Cheese Whiz. Imagine giving your kid Cheese Whiz. Mom, don't you like me anymore?
I think my kids would be okay with it, but I don't think I would be okay with them subsisting on cheese.
Enjoy this delicious, heavily processed cheese food.
Cheese food.
Yeah.
In quotes.
It's a euphemism.
Allegedly.
Yeah, so they say. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, let's focus now on city business. Sure. And here's something, unfortunately, that's happening, I think, still, even as we speak. Public Works crews, and also assisted by the Binghamton Police Department, they're working, unfortunately, to clear out another homeless encampment. This time, it's a fairly significant encampment that was located near the South Washington Street Bridge, behind the flood wall on Conklin Avenue. I stopped by there this morning, right before I came here to the station. Spoke briefly with Jim Emke from News 34, and I know you were also there just within the past hour. Let's talk about what happened there. And the fact is, I mean, this is just one of many in Binghamton and around our area.
Sure, and you mentioned, I was there this morning as well. You mentioned Department of Public Works personnel and some Binghamton Police Department officers. I think the notable group that was not on site, and it's because they were not told that the encampment would be cleared, are handful of outreach groups who function specifically to provide direct critical support, supplies and services to folks who are left with no other option but to sleep on the riverbank and to sleep under bridges. It's been months now since recommendations were made to include street outreach workers in efforts to address encampments locally, and we've seen no progress or a commitment from the city in doing so.
And my guess, and it's only a guess, but this particular location that was the focus and is the focus of attention right now on the south side, just off Conklin Avenue, this has been there for a while.
It has been. And there are, like I said, outreach groups who are visiting several of these sites every single week. They know the residents. They're bringing That site in particular, a severely vulnerable individual with medical needs, elderly individuals, they're providing support. And so when one morning residents are simply forced to vacate, and DPW, you would have seen it as well, is there with their skid steers, their garbage trucks, those part of what would actually be a more humane encampment response would involve not only that support, but enough notice for folks to gather their belongings. The reality, however, I think we all agree that it's not ideal for individuals to be sleeping on our streets, sleeping under bridges, on the riverbank. The reality, however, is that every single of the upwards of 400 shelter beds available throughout the county are full on any given night. We've known locally for over a decade that we don't have enough affordable housing for our lowest income residents, but post-COVID, we've run out of shelter beds as well. So this isn't a matter of them choosing simply to camp outside in the winter because they think it's fun. It's a matter of not being able to access emergency shelter and services that would provide a solution for them and put a roof over their head.
For the spot that we've been talking about in the last few minutes, do you have any sense about how many people had been staying there?
There are at least 3 consistently. By the time I left this morning, which was just before 10, there was an outreach crew who had been able to be on site to meet with at least 2 of the folks. But again, it's not because there was some kind of proactive notice and opportunity to engage. They were informed. I and others reached out. And so a decade ago, we would have about a dozen individuals on any given night on our streets. As of last year, we have over 70 throughout our region, the majority of which are in Binghamton. And again, more than anything else, homelessness is a housing issue. And so although there have been efforts, there have been proposals for warming centers, either expansions of the one single warming center that currently exists or
which
additional
is on Shenango Street downtown.
It is, yep. There are, a few dozen warming center beds that are available just for overnight. They're literally life-saving options, even though they're temporary. And the Addiction Center of Broome County, ACBC, which is the agency that operates that warming center out of the United Presbyterian Church, it's a beautiful collaboration. They submitted a proposal to expand a warming center, provide more shelter and services up on Clinton Street. And
just off Clinton Street,
Clinton,
building
correct.
that they bought
Yep, 15
at
Charles.
15 Charles Street, a big building.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to locate a warming center that would have 40 beds in there. And they worked for a long time, for months last year, went through the process with the Planning Commission, a couple of lengthy public hearings, and some nearby residents and business operators expressed their opposition, and ultimately their plan was
shot down,
rejected.
And the oft expressed concern or fear is that building or establishing such a center and service would bring more homeless individuals to the area. We already have dozens of individuals who don't have even a shelter option at night. So we're already in the midst of, the vast majority of individuals who are unsheltered here are from here. They're not coming from out of the county just to get services here. There is no data, that, at least not that I've seen, that supports that.
So going forward, what can the city and the county, as well as other agencies, nonprofits, and perhaps even individuals and businesses, what can be done to actually have a noticeable positive effect on this problem? People talk about it, and I know we've talked about it for years. It seems like we've always discussed it, and despite all the talk, certainly in the last couple of years, we can see with our own eyes, it's gotten worse.
And it's gotten worse because the proposals that have been discussed for over a decade are not being moved forward. The inaction of those in leadership is directly resulting in the increases in homelessness that we've seen. I think the statement I say more than any other is that more than anything else, homelessness is a housing issue. We have deficits of deeply affordable housing, meaning housing that is affordable for households making somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000 a year. Deficits in the over 3,500 numbers of available, affordable housing. And it's because instead of building for local residents, we have prioritized the development of student housing and luxury housing developments. We need to develop at a scale that meets and matches the deficits that we've seen rather than projects potential profit opportunities for luxury and student housing developers.
We're talking with Rebecca Rathmel, who will be on City Council starting January 3rd after winning a special election a couple of weeks ago, representing the 6th District in Binghamton. There was an apartment complex that opened up, I think in late 2020, over on the north side, and it was designed to help homeless individuals and families, and that, I believe, is still being run by...
Canal Plaza, yep.
Yeah. No, not Canal Plaza. The building near Liberty Street, Liberty and Virgil.
Oh,
that
Family Enrichment Network.
Yeah, Family Enrichment Network. So it was a $4.2 million housing project, and they built it. That was one of the few construction projects that was allowed to go forward during the early stages of COVID when a lot of things were shut down. So how is that working out? Because I know since it opened, I don't know that I have done any follow-up on that. And I drive by there frequently because I'm covering stories in that neighborhood, Liberty Street, and the nearby neighborhoods. And I've heard nothing at all about it, which suggests to me it's probably working okay. I haven't heard any complaints.
It is, yeah. It's a so several agencies, several funding streams came together in support primarily of this project through Family Enrichment Network. It has expanded since into, just full permanent supportive housing, which is a model that's extremely effective in providing not only housing that is affordable, but supportive services for individuals that may have service needs, and case management can be there to ensure that their housing remains stable. So that's all of the permanent supportive housing projects that we have throughout the city. Greater Opportunities has permanent supportive housing projects. The YWCA has permanent supportive housing projects. Family Enrichment Network. They're running well and they are effective, but we don't have enough. And there's not enough public funding to go around to address this issue. We have to move outside of expecting the public sector to solve this problem and begin demanding from the private sector, and by that I mean regulating the private sector in a way to ensure that actual community needs are being considered when we're developing housing locally. Not only are we not developing the housing that we need that's affordable and available, we have not been preserving our existing affordable housing stock sufficiently enough to stop it from deteriorating to the point of needing to be demolished. One of the first ordinances that I intend to legislate or propose for legislation is a proactive code enforcement ordinance. It's working elsewhere in upstate New York and throughout the nation. But it's a proactive code enforcement approach that not only requires the registration of rental housing throughout the city, but a license to operate that rental housing that you can only acquire by passing an inspection to ensure code compliance. There is zero reason why we shouldn't be asking our landlords and property owners throughout the city to confirm that the housing they intend to provide for humans is actually habitable enough to occupy.
And I have to say. I see multiple times a week when I'm out reporting, whether it's just some single-family homes or apartment houses, or even what was allowed to exist for the last several years and still exists at the moment, say at Town and Country Apartments, where you have 256 units in deplorable condition. Now, finally, at long last, something apparently will be done about it. Yeah, I mean, but it was in 2019 when a big announcement was made by then Mayor David that this was going to be taken care of. And here we are 6.5 years later, and the place is in worse shape than ever.
And I mean, here's hoping third developer will be the charm. Similar to, we were talking about Family Enrichment Network's project on Virgil. We see the Court Street project that Helio Health received funding for. Those projects, particularly funded entirely through the public sector, often take 6 to 8 years to even at times break ground. I signed the original letter of support in 2018 for Helio Health's project on Court Street. We cannot wait to provide homes for our most significant increases in the last few years, certainly since COVID, in households who are experiencing homelessness are families with children. About 450 every year experiencing homelessness throughout our cities, throughout Binghamton in particular. And that's a 70+ increase since just 2021.
Our guest is Rebecca Rathmel, who has just won a special election in the 6th District to represent that portion of the city, South Side, on City Council, starting in just over a month. Another really big issue is food accessibility, food availability, and there are people who can't afford food. There are many people who can afford food but can't get to a place that has healthy and fresh food choices, especially since last March with the closing of the Y store at 307 Conklin Avenue on the south side. And people keep coming to me. Can they reopen some kind of a store, Aldi or Shop and Say, or one of those smaller type stores? We're not talking about a big Wegmans store. Obviously, Wegmans isn't going to open a store on the south side, but somebody somehow should be able to provide decent food at a fair price for the people in that part of the city.
I will say, to my knowledge, the Conklin Street site, the former Weiss, I am not aware of any progress or movement at that location, but I do want to shout out and give kudos to the Broome County Food Council. There are many members of that council, organizations, as well as community residents, several from the South Side, who were impacted by what is now a food desert on South Side East, who have come together to at least ensure that there is a mobile food pantry option. Its first actual available time is coming up on December 3rd. It'll be at 168 Conklin, right across from the Humane Society, the first Tuesday of every month, again starting next month in December. But there, it is on, although unfortunately I can't confirm that it is on like the city's radar. It's certainly on Southside residents' radar, and the Broome County Food Council is working to address it.
All right. Well, we'll keep people posted too. I'm hoping that we hear some good news. I mean, it's the problem of supermarkets closing, neighborhood drugstores closing. I mean, we have food deserts, pharmacy deserts now, and so many people, if they don't have reliable transportation, I mean, many of us take things for granted because we have a car, and say if a CVS closes or a Wise closes or something else, okay, well, that means it's just going to be an extra 3 minutes. We'll drive to another nearby place, and we don't think anything of it. Fortunately, there are a lot of people in Binghamton and surrounding communities that don't have that luxury.
Right. We have seniors on the south side and families with young children who are hit the hardest. They don't have access to private transportation, or they don't have the mobility to be able to get there. And I think it's important to point out these are not partisan issues. These are community needs that we as a city can and should be addressing. So we have city council at a legislative level, and then we have the executive branch, the mayor and the department heads that he appoints. The opportunity to collaborate to actually address these needs is right in front of us.
As you look ahead to January 3rd, when you will become part of City Council, what other key issues will you look to focus on?
I think right now what we're seeing is City Council passed a local law in August to expand our definition of protected class to include the vulnerable unhoused individuals we've been talking about. But we've not seen, so again, legislative responsibility, legislate, pass the laws. It is the executive department's then responsibility to operationalize and implement the protocol to ensure those laws are followed. And we've not seen an effort on the part of, I've reached out now 5 times to Mayor Cram, Commissioner Paludi, who I also spoke with this morning, and Chief Sikorsky to discuss a more humane encampment response, which was part of the protocol that we included in that unhoused status law for consideration, and they have yet to agree to meet. So I think it's important to monitor the actual implementation of the local laws that are being legislated. That's a priority. I do want to take a look at our budget. If you ask the mayor, for example, why we don't have the affordable housing budget line item is 0. Mental health budget line item is 0. And the reason is because we'd have to take the money from elsewhere. Okay, let's take the money from elsewhere. We need to be prioritizing local residents, and our policy agendas should be based on the needs that they are representing. And that is entirely what I hope to do.
Rebecca Rathmel, thank you. Look forward to speaking with you when you're on City Council.
Yes.
And I always want to stress all council members are always welcome to come to the program.
Someday we'll do Q&As, Bob. I'm up for it.
You would actually take calls from listeners?
I would love to. Truly.
Well, I wish every guest was like that. Every guest, and I don't usually ask them because I
would
think
love to.
Sometimes in the past we did, and then some people thought, oh, well, I'd rather your questions.
I will not presume to know everything. I do not presume to know everything. I can own my expertise in the housing and homeless services sector, but I will acknowledge that I don't know everything. So if I don't know the answer to a question, I'm happy to say I don't know. But there's no reason that we shouldn't be having conversations with constituents.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 10:36 WNBF. Coming up, we'll be talking with Dave Nicosia from the National Weather Service about the snow that is finally heading our way. This is Binghamton Now, 607-772-1290 if you would like to talk. We've got our phone lines, and we're ready to speak with you on WNBF and WNBF.com. Binghamton Now, Thursday morning. We got another tour of the Greater Binghamton Airport, thanks to Broome County Aviation Commissioner Mark Kiefner. He was on the program, about 24 hours ago, and even though he was busy in the afternoon, he took some time out to show us around the construction inside and outside the airport. Still a lot of people working there. Between 65 and 85 people every day are working at the airport in the town of Maine. Place looks a lot different than the last time I was there. I was there in early July for the air show, but transformation is quite amazing. So take an airport that essentially seemed to have a 1950s or 1960s look, and now it's looking like a 21st century facility. So a lot of big progress there. The future departure terminal looks quite nice. Had a chance to see most of that work in progress. And if you want to see what things look like, I'll call it the new look Greater Binghamton Airport. You can see the story here at WNBF.com. And we'll follow that. Project should be wrapped up next spring. So a substantial amount of money. All told, the modernization project is expected to cost just under $54 million. Also in the news, of course, I know people are saying, but Bob, you haven't talked anything about politics yet. How come? Did somebody send you a memo? Did somebody say don't talk about President-elect Donald John Trump? And, well, of course, I'm sure they have sent the memo. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. However, I will now take an opportunity to talk about President-elect Donald John Trump, who will be sworn in less than 2 months, and a grateful nation and a curious world look forward to Inauguration Day on January 20th. It should be a big event. I'm predicting a lot of fun and frolic. So everybody can look forward to that. Whether you supported him or whether you didn't support him, now is the time for America to be unified. The reunification of America. Matt Gaetz, I know a lot of people are saying, well, how come they don't do something about him? Well, what can you do? He hasn't been charged with anything. So, if you think something ought to be done about Matt Gaetz, well, hey, he's innocent, apparently. He hasn't been charged with anything. So let's move forward with enthusiasm, see what he'll do in his new job. It's 10:44. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where you're calling from? Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where you're calling from?
William from Binghamton.
Hi, William. What's up?
Well, I was curious. You had this lady on that was looking for places to shelter these homeless people. Have they looked into, like, a lot of these closed churches in the area, like St. Stan, St. Anne's, Bliss Sacrament? They all had school buildings. There's plenty of room in those schools. Maybe they could lease some of the space from them.
It's good idea. I don't know if they've looked into some of those places. Thank you.
Okay, that was my idea. All right,
thank you. No, it's true. There are a lot of unused school buildings right around the Triple Cities, and some of them are in pretty good shape. I was at the United Methodist Church that closed in Endicott on McKinley Avenue, closed February of last year, and their school building, I walked through the school building. Structurally, it's beautiful. It's in good shape. I know they already have some plans for portions of that building, including a daycare, childcare for one part of the building, I think a lower part of the building, and some of the former classrooms. There might be the potential for a residential component in that building too. So who knows? There are some structures that are in pretty decent shape that could have a new use, could help people around the Triple Cities. This is Bob Joseph, 1046 coming up. We'll talk with Dave Nicosia of the National Weather Service. How much snow will we really get? Stay tuned. We'll find out right here on WNBF. Every time we think about the weather, of course, we think of Dave Nicosia, high atop Mount Ettrick at the National Weather Service office. Good morning.
Morning, Bob. I don't know if is that a compliment or not.
It's a compliment. You don't need a weather deck to tell us what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't afford a weather deck.
No, you can't. I can't afford even a talk deck. I can only look on with awe and a certain degree of jealousy at those who can afford their own weather deck. Anyway, winter storm warning in effect for much of our area starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So what's it look like? Are we actually going to see some snow in portions of the Binghamton area over the next day or so?
Yes, indeed. Things have been very mild this fall, and all of a sudden, just things are really changing fast. And this is a very big storm that is taking shape, and it's going to be one of those nor'easter type of storms. Big low developing right now. It's off the New Jersey coast right now, and starting to develop. And there isn't a lot of cold air in place. I mean, it's chilly out there right now, but the storm is going to be large, and it's going to be right through the entire what we call troposphere, like where all the weather is, the lowest 30,000 feet of the atmosphere. And it's going to be all the way up through. And storms like this they bring the cold air down. So this is an interesting storm. It's not going to be bringing cold air in from Canada. It's bringing cold air down from above. Very tricky forecast. Very tricky forecast. I emphasize that. So we got winter storm warnings in areas we're more confident that we're going to see impactful snow. And then further north and west, where there's a little more uncertainty, we still have winter storm watches. Remember, winter storm watch means that, we still have some uncertainties. And where the warnings are, we're more certain. So we are pretty certain Broome County is going to see some significant snowfall. And then, further north and west, it is starting to look pretty good even in those areas as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we upgraded in those areas. The problem with this storm is elevation dependent. So someone asked me how much snow they're going to get. I need to know where they live because the elevations are going to make all the difference in the world. And we were actually forecasting that the valleys might not do so well, might only get a couple inches, and it may not be a big deal. But our hills could get a lot of snow. Like here up on Mount Ettrick, I wouldn't be surprised if we got 6, 7, 8 inches of snow up here. But then you go down into get past the mall and down by Route 17 there, 201 interchange, below elevation. I wouldn't be surprised if only a couple inches down there or less, So it's going to be a lot of variability. And the problem is very wet snow. So we put 6, 8 inches of snow on the hills around here. We're worried about power outages, and the roads, of course, would be bad up in the hills. So this can be very impactful, especially in the higher elevations. And then if it's 1 degree colder, Bob, it will be then it gets to the valley, and then we have some really big problems. But it's a degree that matters, and we're pretty good, but we're not that good. You know what I mean? Like 1 degree.
That's remarkable.
If it's 1 degree
that
colder, Bob, this could be another conversation where we get 15 inches, 18 inches up here in the valley.
Well, are you scheduled to work tomorrow morning?
I am.
All right.
It'll be mostly over by then.
I know, but it still wouldn't hurt to pencil in maybe a call in tomorrow morning, regardless of what happens, just to kind of say, hey, remember what I said at 10:53 on Thursday morning? Well, so it worked out the way we thought it would, or it turned out to be 1.2 degrees colder than we originally forecast, and now you see. Because you actually explained how this could really happen.
And that's where we're being quite liberal with putting our winter storm warnings out, because there is that potential. Remember April 2022 it was? I
have that story. I punched that story up. You're right. April 19th, 2022, wet, heavy snow drops trees and power lines in the Twin Tiers, and we had more than half of NYSEG customers. We had tens of thousands of NYSEG customers in Broome County without power, in some cases for several days, because that snow, that was a spring snowstorm that caused so much havoc, and that was just a little over 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but it's certainly possible. And, we want, people to be prepared for that. In the event that it is a little bit colder, and it could be very easily a degree colder, and then we have an event more like April 2022. If it's a degree warmer, even up here we get maybe 5 inches of snow, 6 inches of snow. In the valleys, primarily are rain. So, I mean, that's where we're talking about here. So we want people to just be prepared, because it could get, if it's just a little bit colder, my goodness, it could be a whole different world out there tomorrow.
With the precipitation that the region is getting, not just the southern tier, but all the Northeast, is this going to begin to help with some of the drought conditions, especially that we've seen in sections of New Jersey and New York where there have been so many wildfires over the last few weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we're looking at a good solid, especially down there, a good solid 2 inches around 2 inches of rain. And, especially down towards Jersey, it's not going to snow down there, we don't expect. So, yeah, and even in the, lower Hudson Valley and those places where they've had the fires, yeah, it's definitely going to help. And the models are hinting, and I know people are not going to want to hear this, but all our medium range models going into the next 1 to 2 weeks are hitting at a major pattern change in North America, where we get a lot of cold air coming from Canada. It's been a very mild fall, and all of our air has been coming from the Pacific, and the Pacific is, fairly mild. It's in the 40s, and that air comes in, goes over the Rockies, and it stays mild, right? Well, that's changing. The jet stream is projected to push north all the way up to Alaska and then drop south right towards us. So if that comes true, we're going to start seeing early winter weather after Thanksgiving and early December, especially early December. So the first week of December, if that pattern holds, and it's been advertising it now for a few days. So this could be the beginning of our winter season, literally, with this storm and then in the next couple of weeks. So it's been so warm, and we had a mild winter last year, and I'm seeing some pretty cold air coming down for the next couple of weeks. So things could really change quite a bit. That's why it was so interesting being a meteorologist in this area.
Well, the good news is for people like me who are not fond of weather, the spring will be here in 4 months.
My wife the other day was like, she was not complaining, but she doesn't like the cold. She goes, I miss summer. I'm like, this is not the time to start talking about summer. That's so long away.
Oh, yeah.
I miss summer. I'm like, well, you're going to be missing it for a while.
Well, it's interesting. Well, I do appreciate your giving us an overview, including some of the variables that could have a big impact. And let's plan on talking tomorrow morning if you have time tomorrow morning to call in and chat for a few minutes. Yeah,
absolutely. And hopefully it's a little bit warmer, because I don't like when the power goes out.
Nobody does.
We don't want to see that. Don't want to see that. But it's definitely on the table. So.
All right. Dave Nicosia, National Weather Service. Have a great day. We'll chat again tomorrow morning.
You too, Bob.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
And it's 10:58, live and local, serving the community, as always, at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. First, we're joined by Joanne Hanrahan at the Broome County Public Library on Court Street in downtown Binghamton. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. Has it started to snow yet?
No. But one of the first things I want to let everyone know, we do have a book sale. It's today until 2, and then tomorrow it's from 9 to 2. But please check the weather, because if the schools are closed or on a 2-hour delay, the library will be on a 2-hour delay. So we will, tomorrow, if it's snowing and the schools are closed or on the delay, then you will need to show up at 11 o'clock for our sale instead of 9. And we have our book sale room is packed still with books. We started Wednesday night from 4 to 7 for our $5 bag sale. Today the sale is still going on, and then tomorrow from 9 to 2, and then Saturday 9 to 12. And I have to tell you, we have a gazillion bunch of books. So
what is the best book that you have right now?
The best, if you like Anthony Horowitz, which I do, I love the Magpie Murders and the Moonflower Murders. We have Anthony Horowitz. We have all kinds of war stories, literature, religion, cookbooks. I love cookbooks. When I'm watching baseball or football or basketball, I like to have a cookbook in my hand, and I kind of breeze through that. And we have puzzles, but we have a lot of Christmas books and kids books.
Don't you have any? Well, yeah, and they're all great, but don't you have any books about history?
Oh gosh, yes. We've got like almost 2 cases of history with true stories and biographies. So our veterans love to come in and get the books on the history and the wars, and yeah, absolutely.
Right. Just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, no, we got it. If you want it, we got it, I'm sure.
All right.
Tons.
So what else is going on at the library? I heard a few weeks ago they put in a new HVAC system.
We did. A brand new, thanks to County Executive Jason Garner. He put in a brand new HVAC system for us, and they resealed our roof. So we are all well prepared for the winter and for the summers coming up where it's going to be hot. I do want to thank all of our listeners who have donated books, or if you've come into our library or come to our book sales. The Friends had a proposed budget for 2024. We wanted to raise $50,000 this year. And as of October 31st, we have already passed our $50,000 revenue budget. So this is just because of the donations that everybody brings and for coming into our sale. So we give over $20,000 to the children's programs. We pay for yoga, we pay for sound bath immersions, and we help the peer support and the farm to library cooler. So I really and truly am very grateful for this community that we have, that they are so supportive of our library. And so many people come in for the sale, and they might owe us $6 or they might owe us $15, and they hand me a $20 and go, no, keep it, because we know that it's going back to the library. And I really and truly want to let everybody know I appreciate all of you who come to the sales and support us with your membership and your donations.
Joanne Hanrahan, thank you for being with us, and I hope you have a great day. Watch out for that snow.
Yes. So, Bob, thank you so much for letting me on your show. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Well, I love to be able to update our listeners with the book sales, so keep us posted.
I will. Thank you very much.
11:15, this is WNBF, and you are officially invited to call us at 607-772-1290. If you have some things you wish to discuss, we have a few phone lines, and out of all the phone lines we have, I'm sure that 1 or 2 probably will work. I'm not a gambling man, but if I were, I would bet at least 1 or 2 of the phone lines will work. Can't guarantee 100% telephonic satisfaction, but I can guarantee that we're going to be able to get at least a couple more calls on between now and noon from News Radio WNBF. Here's the flash from Springfield, Illinois. Apparently official, the state Supreme Court has just overturned actor Jussie Smollett's conviction on allegations that he staged a racist and homophobic attack against himself in downtown Chicago in 2019 and lied to the police. Reading a story that's just been posted to CNN.com. The appeal argued that a special prosecutor should not have been allowed to intervene after the Cook County State's attorney initially dropped the charges. The state's highest court heard arguments in September. Smollett, who is black and gay, claimed 2 men assaulted him, spouted racial and homophobic slurs, and tossed a noose around his neck, leading to a massive search for suspects by Chicago police detectives and kicking up an international uproar. So again, the Illinois Supreme Court, and this according to CNN.com, has just overturned actor Jussie Smollett's conviction. CNN.com story was actually by the Associated Press, so accept no cheap imitations. 11:19 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
It would be Jesse from Owego, Bob. I can't believe what all you people have said this morning.
Well, just wait. There's more.
Oh, I know. Where's Tony Russell when we need him?
Exactly.
You all said the S word.
Yes, I'm afraid we did.
Was it between him or Bernard Fiani who broke out the S word? That was hilarious back in the day.
Good times, man.
I'm trying to remember where that came from. I couldn't believe you played Frank Zappa of all things.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. Must be we have a producer who's about to get fired.
I think I have an idea who that is.
Yeah. I think we all have a good idea. You know, it's terrible to have to dismiss people during the holidays, but we may have to take decisive action. How something by Mr. Zappa made it through here. Imagine what Al Gore's wife must be thinking. Tipper Gore must be beside herself. You know what? That reminds me. I should call her and let her know that they ran a short thing with Frank Zappa, the late, dearly departed Frank Zappa, and I should give Tipper Gore an opportunity to respond.
After your show's over, I just went through all my albums and I actually found it.
Did you?
Yeah, so I'm going to laugh like crazy when I play it.
Very good. Very good. You have to love quality.
Yes, indeed. But now they make this weather. It sounds like it's going to be the end of the planet. So
it's going to be the end of the planet. Remember, I have declared this an ultimate weather day. So today and tomorrow are ultimate weather days, and this means you should go to your nearest participating store and buy some bread and milk and Moxie.
Wait a minute. I thought you said Cheese Whiz.
Oh, yeah, Cheese Whiz. That's right. And this is not sponsored by the Cheese Whiz company. Some people are saying, because I mentioned that last hour about the Cheese Whiz part, and some people are thinking, oh boy, there's something. Now suddenly the Cheese Whiz Corporation is sponsoring Binghamton Now. Nothing could be further from the truth. I just thought kids and adults all like Cheese Whiz.
Well, I'm going to stock up on beer because I got to keep my antifreeze levels up,
All right, well, be careful. And Dave Nicosia also had the shocking news that we now are going to see some big weather, as in big winter weather, cold weather, snowy weather, icy weather. And so I wanted to say during our interview with Dave Nicosia from the National Weather Service, I wanted to say, well, I guess the party's over.
Well, that's true, but there's an old saying that comes with that. We're always going to pay for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Here it comes.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for the last 8 weeks about all this dry and relatively warm and oftentimes sunny weather. Yeah, we're going to pay for it. There's always a price.
That's true. Oh, by the way, I got it on my calendar. I'm waiting for Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, so...
All right. Now, a lot of people actually have responded to that by email. So now I better actually write that down, because now that I've whipped everyone into a music frenzy, it would be poor of me to forget about it now next Wednesday. Let's see. Music Day. I'm writing that on my calendar. So next Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving, we'll have conversations about local and national music or global music. Anything that people want to talk about from a musical standpoint. If there are local singers, I should invite Alyssa to come in. She could come in to do a thing here on the show.
I'd be glad. Sure. You know what? I should buy you one of them big calendars you can put on that blank wall right there in front of you. That way you can keep up to date.
Yeah, that would be nice. I should get Alyssa Crosby to come in here to the show.
Sure. Why not?
I bet she would like it. She's already been here. She was here just a few months ago.
Sure she was.
So she could come in. I could ask her to sing a few. Oh, no, to take requests.
Well, that would be good.
Really?
You know
and the first request, Stairway to Heaven. She would roll her eyes, but she still, just to amuse people, or Freebird. People would be like, Alyssa, could you do kind of your take of a mashup of Freebird and Stairway to Heaven? And because she's a good sport, she would do it.
Are you sure that you don't have a camera here at the Howard Mansion? Because I was going through my albums, and I just came across both of those looking for Frank Zappa.
Really? That's funny.
What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck? I work for the CIA, the FBI, the TSA, and even other organizations that are so secretive we can't even say their names.
Somebody must have installed one of them Ring cameras here at the Howard Mansion. That's all I can figure out.
Yeah, one of those ring-ding-do cameras. All right, well, keep me posted. As always, if you see something, say something.
I'll let you know, and I'm going to get my beer run in early so I can enjoy the entertainment.
Well, that's the danger. You don't want all the local stores to run out of beer, bread, and milk. Not necessarily in that order. Hope you have a good afternoon. Be sure to hunker down. Don't worry. No matter how much snow we get, I'll be here tomorrow.
Don't worry, be happy. There we go.
Thank you. It's 11:26 at WNBF, your station, during this Ultimate Weather Day. It's a UWD. Tomorrow also is an Ultimate Weather Day, so we urge you and your family and friends to take the necessary precautions. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Tom from Susquehanna.
Hi, Tom. How much snow you got down there?
We had a little bit this morning, dusting there.
Yeah. Did they bring the plows out?
Nicosia on there. You're doing a good show, Bobby.
Thank you.
Hey, listen. Are you kidding me? They overturned that Jesse Somet thing. I saw a thing on television where the two guys that he hired were showing where the seat was and everything. How can they overturn it?
They just did. Minutes ago, the Illinois State Supreme Court, and hopefully Jussie Smollett will be able to call in between now and noon and tell us what really happened.
Well, I hope so. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll try to make this call very short so he can get through. All
That's
right?
a good idea. Keep the lines open so Jussie Smollett and Kathy Hochul can get their calls in between now and noon.
I know. Isn't that a riot? Well, in fact, I just called up, too. I can hear you a little bit better on my phone now.
Yeah, I think that was a phone problem. Yesterday, I think you had a phone problem.
I think I did, too.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? This is a landline, too, Bobby. You know that. I mean, this
I know, because from your end, it sounds great. You sound like you're almost in the studio. You sound, in my headphones, you sound better than I do.
Yeah. So, you know what it is? But it's those, you put the phone on the wall and it's got one of those, those portable phones that you have around the house. I remember one used to have one phone, but it definitely worked.
Yeah, well, that's back when we could rely on U.S. technology. That was the 20th century when phones were phones and you seldom, if ever, would get a drop call. And you could almost always hear people with you didn't have to go, huh? What'd you say? Or speak closer, more into the phone. I can't hear you. Your last 20 seconds dropped out. That never happened back when we had good phones.
Well, the cell phones are the thing too. I mean, I don't know what the heck it is with mine. I get out there, and next thing you know, the road, it's on, it's off, But I had it really working good, the other phone, and then they cut me off on that. They said they changed it, so now even if I got a power outage, I can't get out. I can't talk on the phone. But and they just changed it, so I guess there's no longer landlines.
No, it's fake landline. That's what I've been telling people. Some people say, and they're smug. I mean, I talk to some people, and they have this certain smugness in their voice. Well, I still have a landline, and I say, you may think it's still a landline, but the truth be told, it may not be, and they may have shifted you over from the traditional copper wire, the hard-wired service that would work even during a nuclear event. And the next time, this is the way you find out, the next time there's a power outage and you go to use your phone to call 911 to try to get some help or a pizza, you won't be able to call.
That's exactly right. That's what I am now, And I says, I called up to complain. And they said, well, don't worry, you've got like about 15 minutes or something before it goes out. The power
By the way,
out, and they got 15
here's
minutes.
a good rule of thumb, and you, of all people, will be able to corroborate this. Anytime anyone in any circumstance tells you don't worry, that's the exact time to start getting worried.
Oh, yeah, I hear that. Well, I'm starting to get worried about the court system. If this guy can overturn it in view of such evidence. I mean, what's going on? There's no common sense here.
Well, it's a technicality, but it just goes to show you, it restores your faith in the American justice system.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, Bobby, there's just no common sense. There is no common sense left in this world. Honest to God.
So I want to get him on the line, and just now that his conviction's been overturned, and they can't charge him again because that would be double jeopardy. So now that his conviction's overturned, he can call in and finally tell me and you, the home viewer, exactly what happened without fear of any trouble.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I never saw the guy. I don't know what, he's on television. He supposedly had a show or something there. And then when he said it, and, he said that the guys had red hats, the MAGA hats. So my ears perked up. I says, geez, what the heck is this? And then I'm listening to him I saw him on one of the shows. I don't know what it was, but he was crying and everything, and I'm saying to myself, oh boy.
But that's okay, because he's an actor. That's what actors do.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right.
I mean, I think they should hire him. They should get him on one of those shows. Oh, I know, Law and Order. Me and you, and that could be a January replacement series. Law and Order, Me and You, and Jussie Smollett can serve as a prosecutor who prevaricates all the time. So it's a prosecutor who has earned a reputation in Manhattan. Every time that he is in court, he's constantly prevaricating, as in telling lie after lie after lie. And everybody knows, but the courts will never sanction him. It's sort of an open secret, and everybody thinks that the prosecutor, and I don't know what his character name would be, maybe, I don't know, Larry Bud Melman could be the character name. Everybody knows that this prosecutor, every time he's in court for a criminal case, is lying. And they even on the back of his car, put a bumper sticker on it, says home of the Whopper. And they know that's all he does is lie. And then no judge, the court never decides to take any action, even though everybody in the courtroom, the media, the liberal media, the conservative media, and the lawyers and the defendants and even the victims, they all know the guy is lying. And for some reason, he just gets away with it year after year.
Yeah, I don't know. You're losing me somewhere down the line. That would not as far as the phone goes, but I mean your reasoning is losing to me. Hey,
he needs a job now. He needs a job. My point is they ought to find a good job for him. Maybe NBC Nightly News.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's where I want him to be able to have a job now that his conviction's overturned. Maybe he could be the anchor on NBC Nightly News now that Brian Williams has been fired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. He's definitely... I don't understand what the whole situation is with him. I mean, it was like a thing. Hey, you know what? You got a new police commissioner down in New York City.
Well, how long will it be before he gets fired or indicted?
No. It's a girl.
Who?
A girl. She's the
who? Felicia?
She was in the Department of Sanitation, but I hear some good stuff about her. You know that? Keep an eye on
so my question is...
Maybe we'll have something, we can go back to New York City, right?
All right. So is she going to take the garbage out?
Well, no, she did a good job with the garbage from what I heard.
So she could be the new police... Oh, it's Jessica Tisch. I heard it. I was only half listening this morning. But yeah, Jessica Tisch. She used to have a... she was an intern early in her career at the New York Post. She's had lots of jobs, but the new NYPD commissioner, Jessica Tisch, also was an intern down at the New York Post, so she's good.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll start arresting people now. And just let me say something on that topic. Any cop that lets them go into buildings and rob stuff isn't worth his soul, because you take an oath to protect life and property, and no supervisor can tell you not to do anything. I wish I was back on the job, because I would make a test case out of that. You know that?
I wish you were back on the job. No, I'm serious. I wish you were back working on the job for NYPD, and Jussie Smollett came up to you and said, hey, I was just attacked by a couple of guys wearing WNBF hats.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd say, and you'd say to Jussie, come on, man, stop making that up. Let's go out and have a $1 slice of pizza, and we'll just forget that you tried to file another false police report. Okay, bud?
I'll tell you the truth, Bobby. I was starting to believe him. You know that? I was starting to believe him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He started
because he's
on the thing.
Oh, he was a good actor. Yeah, he's a great actor.
I don't know. What is he acting? What was the shows he was in?
I think All in the Family, Three's Company. What was the other one?
Yeah.
What was the one? Oh, The Jeffersons, and there was a more recent one. Oh, I think he was on a couple of Seinfeld episodes. He played like Jerry Seinfeld's drunk neighbor. Oh, I'm thinking of someone else. I don't know.
Hey, Bobby, you got some imagination. You know that?
But the point is, it could have happened that way.
I know. But it's ridiculous. It makes a mockery of the law. You know that?
Well, think of all
let's hope that this Tish, Mrs. Tish here, whatever her name is, I just heard it, that it was going down. I don't know really that much about her. But let's hope that she turns it around.
So I was groggy. I was groggy when the news came on this morning.
Yeah.
The news came on, as it always does, because I have my device set to turn on the news. And so I'm like still half asleep, and I hear the NYPD has yet another new commissioner. I'm thinking, how many new commissioners can they have in a year? But anyway, it's like
locking them up.
Yeah, I know.
One after the other.
I mean, the commissioners are worse than the crooks on the street, it seems. Anyway, so I'm half listening, and all I hear is a new NYPD commissioner, Tish, and I'm thinking they're referring to Tish James, who is the state attorney general. And I thought, why would Tish James take a demotion going from state attorney general to NYPD commissioner? And I missed the context till the next newscast came on, and then I learned it wasn't Tish James who was going to be in charge of NYPD. It's Jessica Tish. So it's very confusing.
Let's hope that she turns it around down there.
All right. I bet she'll do a great job.
Okay, Bobby, take care.
Thanks, Tom. There you go. That's the story from Susquehanna making contemporary news. And we will take some more calls if you have any thoughts. Morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Diana from the South Side. How are you doing, Bob?
I am well. What's on your mind?
Very important question for you. Have you heard anything about the opposite side of the street parking with the snow going to be coming?
No, that's a good point. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard from Mayor Cram. I would think he would call in and say that because of the potential for heavy snow, that the city requests that people in the neighborhoods use the alternate side rules, even though they don't officially take effect, I believe, till December 1st.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe you heard something.
Well, maybe he'll hear it on the program, because I'm sure he's listening. So maybe because of this call, maybe he'll call in and say, that's a good point, Diana. Thank you. And because I don't think, based on the current forecast in Binghamton, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of plowable snow. But as Dave Nicosia pointed out, if the temperature drops by just 1 degree, we could wind up with a lot more snow. So, it could be 3 inches or could be several more inches, just depending on if the temperature just goes 1 degree down. If it goes 1 degree up, there probably would be even less snow accumulation in Binghamton. But that's an interesting point. So if we hear anything from the mayor's office, I'll let you know.
Good. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. I don't have a car because that got hit and totaled here a couple years ago in front of the house.
Oh my gosh. Oh, don't you hate when that happens? I had a car parked outside my place in Binghamton, and this is several years ago, and it was. I should have known better, but you say that after your car gets hit, and I felt so badly. So this driver, she is 17, and all she has is a permit, so she hadn't been driving that long, and so it was really difficult, evidently, for her to make a standard right turn. And so instead of, God, it's the speed limit there. It's how fast can you go? It's a residential neighborhood. So she turns, and then instead of making the right turn where you stay in lane, she winds up aiming for my car. And I look out the window and I said, oh, great. And that's the only new car I ever bought, by the way. It was, it's like after that, I just said, forget it. I'll never buy a new car again if some 17-year-old with a learner's permit is just going to smash into it when I have it parked in front of my place. And I felt so badly for her. I mean, she was in tears because, and let's face it, you're a new driver and you don't have much experience. And then she sees the damage she inadvertently, it was not intentional. It was just, I hate to use the word accident because it was actually a crash. But, and I'm trying to calm her down, even though at the same time I'm, how can I say, immensely disappointed with the work that she just did in a split second. But again, there was no animosity. It was just like, well, I don't want the cops called. It's like, I don't want to call the cops either. But, sadly, this is a case where the police will get involved. And so hopefully, it was years ago, so hopefully she's probably now working at Action News or something and making a lot of money. But anyway, yeah, so you hate when that happens, when somebody hits your car.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that it happened to you. Anyway, good times, though. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for jogging my memory and reliving some of my fun times here in Binghamton. Hope you have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Bob.
Bye. And she's probably listening. She's probably saying, "Yeah, well, you still didn't have to call the cops." It's like, yeah, well, look at my car. Well, how about I just give you my phone number and my dad will handle it? It's like, your dad doesn't want to handle it. It's got to be handled by the insurance company. Unfortunately, that's why we have insurance. And I mean, the good thing was nobody was hurt. Her car was a little damaged. My car, my beautiful blue car. Oh, well. Hey, these things happen. I mean, isn't that why we get up every day? Not because we're expecting everything good to happen, just because we want to see what happens next. 607-772-1290. This is Bob Joseph on WNBF. WNBF at 1146. And since it's been a while, we'll give you the forecast because the weather never sleeps. Winter storm warning in effect for many counties in the region, including Broome. If you live in Tioga County, there's going to be a winter storm watch. So if you're in Tioga County, you can watch the snow. If you're in Broome County, don't say you weren't warned. So winter storm warning in effect for most of the region starting at 4 this afternoon, and off to the north and west, winter storm watch. Today, rain, high 38. Precipitation today, between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch possible. Rain and snow tonight, becoming all snow after 8 o'clock. Snow could be heavy at times. Snow accumulation in Binghamton about 3 inches. That's what is expected now. Tomorrow, starting off with snow in the morning, then a mix of rain and snow around midday. All rain afternoon, high 38. Saturday, mostly cloudy. Showers likely, high 44. And the snow accumulations will be elevation dependent. So if you're in a higher elevation, expect more snow. If you're in the valley, less. And the temperature could also have an impact. If the temperature even drops by 1 degree, if it gets 1 degree colder than the forecasters currently anticipate, that could mean more snow for places like the Triple Cities. Right now, 39. That's 4 Celsius at WNBF. It's 11:48. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Martin Binghamton. I think I'll take a sledgehammer to your dead air time there and just help you out real quick, everybody, but also about Matt Gaetz. I don't know, did you see the graph the FBI put out in the New York Times about his payments? That it's an elaborate scheme going all over the place, but the end result is the same. The girls got paid $6,000 and $4,000, and then one of the girls also testified that she happened to walk through a room there and see Matt Gaetz having sex with her 17-year-old friend. And and then, of course, the vote went 5-5 yesterday, and they're going to be on a little recess, I guess, till December 5th. But it only takes one Christian Republican to cross over when they have all this evidence. And then also on his clown car, he brought in Vince McMahon's wife to head of the World Wrestling Federation, to head the Department of Education. What's her experience? Nothing.
She went to school. No, she went to school.
Yeah, I see. She got a degree in French. Yeah, she got a degree in French. But also
that's not bad. I mean, so you're criticizing that she learned a second language?
Well, how about this? Both spouses were named in a lawsuit filed last month accusing WWE leaders of allowing systemic and pervasive abuse of underage children. So, you want to talk about abuses and immigrants being bad and doing bad things. But the point is, this guy's not serious. It's all about loyalists. I mean, of course, we got Dr. Oz, and there was a lot of things that he put that was out last night, that a lot of contentions he made about his products and everything were useless or not, or hadn't been researched or anything. He's another charlatan. This whole panel, this whole cabinet is a charlatan. It's nothing but, it's just setting him up for his authoritarian takeover. And like we talked about loopholes about the marijuana, there's this loophole that, he can just recess everybody and then go right through himself.
That's right.
To the Supreme
That's
Court.
right. Recess appointments are exciting.
So we are in a dictatorship.
No.
It's not just for a day.
No.
Well, Bill, Bob, don't. What does it look like? Okay, if it looks like and smells like, okay, come on. I know you're an independent, and so am I. I mean, people might not think that, but I have voted Republican. I got Republican friends. And matter of fact, remember I lost my jacket last year? Well, who came to my defense and helped me?
I know.
Not that I needed it, but my God, and God bless you, I got to give him a call. Giovanni Scaringi, our former first councilman.
I know.
And when he lost, I invited him up to the Clinton Street Cafe and introduced him to and all the other people up there, and we became good friends. And he loaned me George Carlin's tapes for about 6 months, and also there. But anyway, well, people would say, and a guy from Vestal said I was stupid for leaving my jacket in there. Well, somewhat, but
I mean, yeah, you owned up to it, but still didn't make it right, and it's still all the circumstances. It's easy for what I find intriguing. It's easy for people to be Monday morning quarterbacks after something bad happens to someone, and then in like many cases, I hear people blaming the victim. And to me, it doesn't make sense. I get what the point they're making, and I get that some people might think it, but is it right to even say it, especially on the radio, given what you were going through when that happened? I didn't think it was really nice.
I do too. Well, I understand he's on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, but which is good. We have people on all sides of every aisle on this program, and that's great. That's what makes it a better program, that we have a wide range of views. But I'm not kidding when I say I view everybody who calls this program as part of an extended family. So if something bad happens to a member of our family, even if we never agree with them, we should still feel badly for them and not be openly critical.
But, one of the main things, I agree, one of the impetus for him also doing that, besides we're good friends, and but the same thing happened to him in Syracuse at a much shorter time period, he was telling me. He just put his coat, I think it was the Carousel Mall. He went on, he put his jacket in the dressing room. He went out, was looking at some articles of clothing, and then he goes back and boom, his stuff is missing, Well,
and the problem is, until something like that happens to you, I look at the way I behave day to day. Sometimes I know I'm just too trusting. Sometimes I'm a little careless. I try not to do anything that's going to, wind up being too big an enticement for someone who thinks they need something from me, and just decides to take it because I was careless. So I am quite cognizant of what I do, but I also realize sometimes I'm not perfect and something could happen. And then if I ever told about it on the radio, I'd get, the naysayers, the nattering nabobs of negativism saying, well, serves you right. And no, it doesn't serve you right. You let your guard down for a minute, or you trust people for a minute, and then something bad happens. That's not correct.
Well, I've been in there now since they did it over, Bob, and they took out that partition, which was blocking me. And I know now, and I knew a little bit later that I was really set up. It was, kind of professional. She was a little crackhead. She walked by me. I got bad vibes, and, but anyway, it's done over differently. But, back to Gates, though, I mean, this is cut and dry here. You got these payments. They're Velpo payments.
Yeah, I like one. It said the reason for payment, because they have a little section for the Venmo payment, and just because.
Yeah.
What the heck does that mean? What's that code for? Just because. I think I know what it's code for, but I'm not going to talk about it on the program.
One check says joy.
Oh,
for
my
joy.
gosh. Oh, it's enough to make you sick. Anyway, thank you, Martin. I appreciate your call. 11:55. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Larry from Kirkwood.
Hey, what's up?
Well, I want to thank you very much for that last bit of comedy there. I mean, I love you, Martin, but what you just said was a bunch of baloney. Anyway, so finally, the party's over. We're going to get snow, Bob.
Yeah, we're going to get a bucket of snow.
Let's hope it's less than they're saying, man.
Well, as Dave Nicosia suggested, it could go either way. I would think most of our listeners don't have to expect a lot of snow tomorrow, but who knows? I mean, will it be 2 inches? Will it be 12 inches? Who knows? Part of me, a small part of me, I'm actually excited because I always am intrigued when we really don't know what's going to happen. On the other hand, I'll be darned if I have to get out and shovel tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? I'm not looking forward to picking up the snow shovel.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. But got to say, I mean, what? It's November 21st, is it? 21st? Yeah, I think.
No, we've been fortunate the last few weeks. It's been a remarkable autumn so far. So I'm not. Here we are, full month into the fall of 2024, and essentially no snow. A couple of times I saw a few flurries, but no appreciable snow. So by all rights, we don't have anything to complain about, but we have to because this is talk radio.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing. How do you like that choice for White House press secretary?
What's her name?
Caroline Leavitt.
Yeah, I don't know that much about her, but I believe she's 27 years old, and they say she's brilliant.
She is. She's a tiger.
Well, in other words, she's going to just basically continue the great work that KJP has been doing in recent months. So we go from one great one great White House press secretary to another one equally talented.
No, don't compare her to KJP. KJP is a doofus. She's a nut. This woman will bring some sensibility and she won't obfuscate. Whatever she is allowed.
Wait, she's going to tell the truth?
Yeah, she will.
No, she won't. No, she won't. She's a White House press secretary. That's the first requirement. Are you willing to lie on behalf of the president? If so, you're hired. That's all the time I have. I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF.